Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayra al-maghdubi alayhim wa ad-dallin. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala al-mursalin. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. So today we're going to look at the Qasida, the manifestation of the essence. And we'll sing it together, inshallah, and we'll go through the meaning and unpack it as Allah provides. Bismillah. الشمس بدا من اليمين الغيب دوحا أما تلك شفت عن ذاتي ليلى سطورها الله 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 يا مولانا Allah, Allah, bifadlika kuli nimatilka layla qad bahat bihu biha likhilin lahalama تزايد شقوها الله 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 يا مولانا الله الله بفضلك كل فضاء سريعا في مراد خرامها ونادت له الأشواق حاذيكه سوحا الله 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 يا مولانا الله الله بفضلك كل فما بريت حتى سقط بكاسها فلو لم فالشراب حديثها الله 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 يا مولانا الله الله بفضلك كل وما هي إلا حضرة حق وحدها تجلت بأشكال تلون نورها الله 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 يا مولانا الله الله بفضلك كل فبدت بديع الصوني في طاء كونها فلاحظ صفات حبي فيك ظهورها الله 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 يا مولانا الله الله بفضلك كل فوالله ما حزن سعادة كلها سوى من بدا عبدا ذليلا يموحا الله 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 يا مولانا الله الله بفضلك أكون فغطت بحولس في منه بوصفها ولهت له الأنوار يبدو شعاعها الله 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 يا مولانا الله الله بفضلك كل فغاب عينيه الذي كان قاطعا وعنهق معناني لاحي لفراقه الله 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 يا مولانا الله الله في راب كل فحار الأخي قصدا وأرد عني سوى يهوب على الأبد أبدي من كان سموها الله 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 يا مولانا الله الله من فضلك كل وتتفتى سمان الليف وادي من سليك إلينا لطيف العلم من حدا للوها الله 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 يا مولانا الله الله من فضلك كل فامونا علينا ذا إيمان بوصالها وغبنا عن حس الموجودات كلها الله 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 يا مولانا الله الله من فضلك كل الله 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 يا مولانا الله من فضلك كل الله الله يا مولانا الله من فضلك كل اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد. So, like all of these qasida, it's like entering into an environment that a room that's full of beautiful arrangements and curtains and flower vases and perfumes, and it is in a holistic experience. It's not just for the intellect and the mind. It draws and reflects and mirrors the wholeness of the moment that the Sheikh is transmitting. It is a dhawq, a taste. So when you hear this and you sing this and you, like all the qasidas, and really in the same way, the Quran, when you read the Quran, you're entering into it. This is similar in the sense that you are entering into this taste, this atmosphere, that this mirroring that is coming from the heart of an enlightened wali, an enlightened being. So when you hear it and enter into it, let the eyes of your all of you be open to it. So he says, has the light of the sun appeared from the world of the unseen, or have the veils of Layla been lifted from her essence? It's impossible to fully unpack this beautiful, dense, and yet completely lit with the moment that he's describing. It is indescribable, but he's attempting to share it in this beautiful couplet. He says, has the light of the sun appeared from the world of the unseen? That the light beyond this creation, the light from before existence, the light that is within that is light's existence and gives life to our perception, and which we are sustained and maintained, that light has lifted its veils from her essence. It means that all of the layers of dualities and secondary experiences and relative consciousness is fallen away. And he's now reflecting on that which is beyond our ability to understand with the mind. It has to be understood with the inner eyes, the inner heart, the being of light within you. And he says, yes, the longing of Layla for her beloved friend has grown until she has revealed her love. Allah created this entire creation out of love, out of wanting to be known. So this idea of this we, who we are, what all creation is, what the substance of all creation is, all stamped and directed and is evolving towards you, this realization that Allah is manifesting his reality through this experience, our relative experience, through the whole experience of the creation of the effulgence of all creation. So every single thing behind it is Allah's light. Everything behind all things that we experience is stamped with the ultimate purpose and intention is to be known and to connect with that knowledge. The relative with the absolute is never disconnected. So this is an unveiling of that idea of a disconnection. It is a complete dissolution of the locus of self that says I exist as a separate being. It is knowing that Allah is wanting us, so to speak, that it's not just that we desire that truth and that with our minds and with our hearts and with our desires, but this is what Allah is seeking for us, is embracing his creation is for himself to manifest this, to manifest the consciousness of his reality. And so he says, yes, the longing of Layla, Allah, God's longing, God's desire, God's want of this creation is for her beloved, which he creates the world as love, and has grown until she has revealed her love, so that he has become a captive of her ardent desire and the longing which are her goblets called out to him. The first line, so that he has become a captive of her ardent desire. We are captivated by that decree, regardless of what we do or what we believe, or we are completely enslaved and captivated and encompassed and designed by Allah's desire to be known. It is inevitable. In the Quran, it says over and over again that you, regardless of whatever your state you're in or whatever, you will meet your Creator. You will meet Allah. Every soul, every being will meet Allah. It doesn't matter whether they Muslim, not Muslim, rebellious, or it doesn't matter. Now, how you meet Allah, that is a difference in the relative sense. But it is we who are captured by Allah's love. And the longing which are her goblets called out to him. Now, here's an interesting thing. What is a goblet? A goblet contains, and in this case, in the poetic sense, a goblet contains wine. So he's saying here that the goblet calls, and the longing which are her goblets called out to him. This is the interaction now between the relative being, you and I, and our Creator. When we look out with the eye of desire to know God, then we see the creation as containing the signs of his, and in this case of hers, her reality behind all signs. So the goblet is the container. It is the ayat, the signs of Allah, our personal biography and life is an echo of the universal reality. We are a microcosm of the macrocosm, if you want to look at it that way. Each one of us is a reverberation, a mirror, a complete intact mirror of Allah's creational effulgence, including that behind the creational effulgence is the nur of Allah, the light of Allah. So the same in our creation as a human being, within your heart is the ruh bil amri rabbi. So you have within you the existence of the light of Allah, of the one. And from that one manifests this creation. And it's same with us. We are manifested by the light within us. We're a mirror, an echo of the truth. That's why Allah Azza wa Jal, when he was going to create mankind, he said, I'm going to put on earth my Khalifa. We talked about this before. This is such an important point to understand. A Khalifa is a representative. We are, each human being, we don't own it. It is not something that we can own, that is the essence of who we are. We're a reverberation, an echo, a mirroring of the one reality, cosmologically represented in this human being. So, goblets.
Can I ask a question?
Anjum?
So, can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead. Bismillah.
I apologize, but I couldn't understand Rasulullah. What is the deafest realize who is whom?
Anjum, I can't hear you. Anjum, we can't hear you.
Lala. What is Lala? I'm talking about Lala. What is Lala? Who? The Rasulullah. What is the light in it?
Anjum, we're going to have to go on because we can't I can't hear your question at all. It's all muddled. Let's save it to the end and see if your connection is better. So we go on, he says, and then she did not, this is wonderful. She, again referring to the reality, to Allah, she did not leave until she had given him a drink from her goblets. Now, this is what we were just talking about. There is no blame in this drink, for the wine is her speech. So this is what we were saying before, that in this, she's given him or her this drink, this drink that is the ayat, the meaning, the essence that is within everything that we experience, in every goblet, every ayat, every thing that we see in this creation. You see it as a sign from the Creator representing when you look at it, it could be an Asma Husna, it could be beautiful, it could be majestic, it could be artful, it could be strong, it could be so many different things. You see the indication of that thing in your relative experience. So he's saying here that she did not leave him until she had given him that drink, that taste, that which we all desire to have of that absolute, of that light beyond the creational effulgence, that which is beyond and behind the entire creational effulgence. And it's that, and he goes on to say that wine is her speech, meaning that it is the cosmic book. It is why when the first word of the Quran was revealed is what? Is Iqra, read. What did he say read? Read. The Prophet ﷺ, peace and blessings be upon him and his family, that he read what was in front of him. He saw the creation and he read it for what it was. And it's the same here, that he saw the light of Allah in everything, in the meaning of everything, the interconnectedness of everything. And this is what is possible to a degree for each one of us. This is what will bring life to our life, which will bring inspiration and service and fulfillment and true joy, is that when we look out into the world and we see nothing other than the hand of Allah, the speech of Allah speaking to us, the only thing that stands in the way from us hearing and seeing and experience that is the veil of ignorance, of our own relative noise and biographies and expectations and conditioning. This is, once Sheikh Fadallah said to me, in so many ways, Allah is easy. Allah is easy. It's the rest of it that's hard, it's issue. It's the self that's difficult. So Allah is wanting it. If you read this qasida, you know that you are wanted by the reality to wake up, to have this knowledge and taste of the everlasting. But what stops us is our conditioning, our nafs, our self, our ego, our egoic self. So in order to read, we have to cut through the egoic self. In order to cut through the egoic self, you have to witness the egoic self, recognize it, watch it, become familiar with its patterns, so that consciousness that's watching will transform the circumstances situation for you. And when that transformation begins to take place, then you get to read. And you get to read deeper and deeper until you just, like what they're saying here, that you become a captive of her love, completely immersed in it. Then the Sheikh goes on. He says, and she is the presence. Here's the thing. he mentions hudur, presence. She is the presence of the truth alone, who manifests herself with forms whose every light is different. There is. I mean, it's again what we're talking about here. Everything has the truth and her presence of the nur of Allah within it. And there's an effulgence of different lights. That light manifests as different lights. Now you could look at something like, you think of it in the sense of some of the scientific issues, gamma rays and ultraviolet rays, and you have quarks and subatomic particles, photons and other things passing. These are all forms of light. These forms of light then and energy create and complexify into forms. Forms like plants and animals in our consciousness, ourselves, the trees, plants, animals, etc., etc. But they're all at their core made of light. But light in manifesting in different forms, but yet at its essence is light. And these have shown now this is beautiful. And these have shown the uniqueness of the form design contained in her being. And these lights and these manifestations and our being and all these have shown the uniqueness of the form of that form and design contained within her being. So when you see the forms and then you see the manifestation behind the forms of the names of Allah, the love that is there after you begin to read and you see the interconnectedness of all things, it tells you something about the being, if I can even say this, of the nature of God. How can you not fall in love after seeing the interconnectedness and the beauty and the majesty of all things, that it all reflects about the nature of God? I mean, all of this could have been just one gray blob. But it's not. It's an incomprehensible, impossible to conceive of the magnitude of light that has been manifested, and what we can see just in our simple lives is already overwhelmingly so beautiful and manifesting such love that you know that that's an indication of what Allah is about. So he goes on and he says, so look at the attributes of the beloved manifested in you. This is an incredible instruction. Look at the attributes of the beloved manifested within you. You can look at your nafs and there's nothing but misery in it, from one end of it to the other. It's like if you look at your faults, it's like a chain, a forever chain, an infinite chain. So you need to know yourself. That's true. You need to understand and unwind by light and witnessing the aspects of one's personality and so on, and one's nafs patterns. That's all true. But ultimately behind all of that is the light of Allah, is it's the foundation of the perverted self, of the perverted shadow self. It is the perversion of the names of Allah. Now think about it. We talked about this before. Let's say a person who's obsessed with power. It's a perversion of Allah's al-Qawi al-Aziz. You have within you Allah's power, but it's not for them to be used for the oppression and of oneself and family and others. And no, it's to recognize Allah is all powerful within you. And that's what you have, all these beautiful attributes. We all have these attributes within us. So we have to contemplate those that are manifested within us and know that that is the foundation of who we are. Nothing else. All that other stuff is fani, is going to disappear. But the things that come from the nur of Allah are forever. That is aspects and lights and radiance that coming from our ruh within us, at the core of our being. And this is an incredible instruction. Then he says, by Allah, he swears now, he says, by Allah, none obtains complete bliss except the one who becomes a humble slave and seeks her out. So you have to, he's instructing us, put away all this egoic issues. Put away your egoic striving, because you will never have joy from it. You'll never have fulfillment. You will never have bliss from the ephemeral and twisted elements of the egoic being within us, the illusion of this separate egoic self will never bring true joy and fulfillment and bliss. So he said, busy yourself, become a humble slave. Humble, what is humble? It's not just the idea of humble, it's not that Christian sort of, humble means you recognize Allah is in charge. We have no power, no strength, nothing. We own nothing. We are owned. We were created. We didn't create ourselves. That's humility. Being humble is being honest. Being honest with yourself. Who am I? I am a manifestation of Allah's decree. And somehow I have this illusion that I have some ability to move my finger, to move my mouth, to talk, to whatever it is, eat and all this. Little, what if you even think about that on the scale of the universe, what is it of free will that you have? Nothing, very little. So don't busy ourselves with feeding that little beastie, but look for what's already there within the heart, which is the names of Allah, the light of Allah within us. He said, then you'll have that, can have bliss and joy and happiness. Then he says, and thus, she immersed, this is fantastic, she immersed the ugliness of his nature in the beauty of hers. So she immersed the ugliness of his nature in the beauty of hers. When he's saying, when that self is submitted and true humility comes when you know Allah's in charge and you have nothing, very little, and nothing in your hand, that Allah's attributes encompass you. She cloaks you in the light of her attributes, in place of the ephemeral, relative, and conditional attributes that you have. She becomes the hand by which you grasp, the eye by which you see, the feet by which you walk. This is an incredible indication. And then she ends this line with, and lights shone from him, their rays appearing. When you see someone, especially the prophets, the awliya Allah, you see it when this rahmah has encompassed them. When you walk in their presence and you see them, you look at them and you see the light of Allah upon them. These are not that person's light. That person is just out of the way. It's the light of Allah that's manifesting and shining from them. And that light shines at times from all human beings, because we all, at our essence and our core, are the soul. We are the Ruh. And so the Ruh will manifest itself. In any case, whether you are on the path or you're not or whatever, you will find beauty and generosity and wholesomeness from where you think you would not. But someone who has spent their life and their time in being humble and seeking her only, that's who they are in their complete being. And we're lucky to have people who we know like that. Fortunate. So that he withdrew, now again, he's coming back to this, so that he withdrew from the sensory, which is a barrier, and embraced a meaning from which it is unlawful to be separated. You withdraw from the outer sensory all the limitation of the five senses and the senses that give you this messaging of separation and thises and that's and ups and downs and the duality. Because it's a hijab, it's a barrier. And you embraced a meaning from which it is unlawful to be separate. Because what you're with at this moment, there is no separation between Allah and his creation, between the actions and of multiplicity and the singularity of the actor. Allah is closer to you than your jugular vein. And it's immeasurably close, meaning it's seamless. And it's unlawful. Why is it unlawful? Because if you say for one moment that Allah is not here or Allah is somewhere, it's haram. It's shirk. But where's Allah? Out of time, out of space. If you point that Allah is there, then immediately there's you and this space and that time between this time, and it's not true. Allah is beyond time. He encompasses time. He is time himself, beyond time. So it's unlawful. It's madness to think that Allah is not connected to every single thing in our experience of perceiving it. And then he says, therefore, let your goal, this is an incredible instructive song. Therefore, let your goal be to commit yourself, oh my brothers and sisters, and avoid otherness, avoid the ghayrillah, avoid this shirk. And then if you do that, look how beautiful and courteous and loving the Sheikh puts this. He says, and Allah, her gentle breeze will waft over you from the beloved ones, from you, for you, or from you. Meaning that when you are in that state and seeking only Allah's reality, seeing Allah behind everything, then you will get that breeze from that reality that will invigorate you. And that breeze will then go from you, through you, to others around you. So you become a circuit, a conduit, a mirroring of that higher reality to everything around you. Why? It's not something you're doing. You're not doing it. You cannot claim this as an action. It is done. When you're done and you're done in to the one, then you can't help it. You are a servant completely to all creation. It's this completion of that circuit. Nothing to do with you as an owner of it. No, it's that you manifest that. Allah manifests that through this thing called this relative being. And then the last two lines, he says, you will open the hearing of the wayfarer's heart because the all-pervading nature of the knowledge from her is the proof of her. Everyone wants to know and has a taste in them of the divine. So when that happens, when that submitted heart comes, that all-pervading nature that is within you that you now have submitted to, when people see it, it's the proof of God. That's why when you meet someone who's a saintly being, in some cases they even call people Hujjat al-Islam or Ayatollah. Not that I'm saying that everybody who has those names is that, in fact, fully that. But it means that that person, when you see them, you see an ayat of Allah. It affirms the truth. You see a proof of the God, the reality, the nur of all things behind. When you see that person who has submitted, and there's a barakah, there's a communication, there's a speech from the being without even them speaking. And you know it in your heart, because it's in you. You cannot recognize anything outside of yourself unless it's within you. So when you see the light of the nur or something on someone, it is your heart reflecting that light. It is your light, meaning it is the light of Allah within you. That's lighting the way for you to experience it. And then he ends it by saying, may we always have the blessing of union with her, and may we always withdraw from every existent thing. So the last thing he leaves us with here is that to strive to be in that state of oneness, seeing the hand of Allah, going deep, deep within yourself and contemplating the manifestation of Allah's beauty and names within you, and withdraw yourself as much as you can from things that are in a way calling you towards seeing two-ness. Activities, relationships that draw you into ghafala, into forgetfulness. Leave the things that don't bring you into light. There's a time and a place for everything. You know, when a young person grows up, they have to get out into the world and manifest look for their provision, use that youthfulness to turn things upside down. They don't know, they don't have life's experience yet. They must do these things. They must get out there and, hit themselves against life. Until then, they start seeing that things are not to what they expected, that they're not entitled to this and that and the other, that what they want may not be the best for them. Then they start to suffer, and suffering is what begins to waken people up. When you start seeing there is your will and then there's something else going on. And then as you grow older in life, you go through seasons, you begin to say, no. You say no more. I don't want to do this, I want to do this. And so you start having discrimination. The Sheikh here is saying, have this discrimination and have it intensely now in this time. If you're reading this Diwan, if you're here sitting at this talk, it means that you are like a butterfly, drawn, and recognize you're drawn to that light that is within you. So you have to take the bull, we have to all take the bull by the horn and keep these wisdoms and messages and instructions very much to heart and in strength. There's a beautiful ayah in the Quran that says, take your book with strength, take it with strength, hold it. There's another one about hold on to the rope of Allah, because it's very difficult. The Prophet said that there will come a time in which holding on to the rope of Allah will be like holding on to hot coals. I mean, what are the hot coals other than the distractions of the egoic self? And especially the time we're living in now, it has the polarity is so evident of the egoic life, of the egoic self manifesting in how of the bringing this planet nearly to a total destruction because of the egoic self. We could very well be in this extinction. Why? Because we haven't honored the true purpose of our lives. We haven't honored and taken on what we're here for. If we don't take it on, then Allah erases it, and it's nothing. It's something to us because we have this individual sense of who we are and so on, but in the all over scheme of things, Allah says that if a people don't appreciate this, He will change them with another. Because this is the program. So these are the things that are in this Qasida. Please read it again yourself, quietly. Sing it to yourself, read it to yourself. Enter into it. Enter into that room again that we were talking about, that space, that whatever you can manifest to remain in that state, in that room, and let it enter into you and take it with conviction, inshallah. All right, we're going to end this part with a Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamun ala al-mursalin. Alhamdulillah.